build them up all along.
Yeah, and that was just basically to dry them out, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
that dry them out.
How long would they take to
Well,
take
in the
dry?
summer, about 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
Yeah.
And then you start.
Ruckling them.
Yeah.
Well, topping them actually. They top them. They would put. I'll find a good one a minute. Not a bad one there.
Oh, nice one.
So what they do then, they carry on like that, and like that, and then they put another one on the top, like that,
Yeah.
and so on.
And
all
go
the
up
way.
and until it's almost like the shape of a pyramid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
until they dry, and then put them in ruckles.
Used to see hundreds of them around there, scattered around the moors.
Any amount. Mumps out as we call, which these are, and I found a wooden shoe.
You found a wooden shoe?
Yeah, I pulled the peat away from it. It was perfect. And 2 or 3 hours later, because it was a hot day, the sun dried it out, and it basically fell apart.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, many things have been found on peat moors.
I've never been fortunate to find any gold sovereigns or anything like that.
No gold sovereigns?
But there have been lots of things found.
Well, some Roman coins, quite a large amount of coins was found down at Shapert, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
they have, yeah.
Near the manor
Lots
house.
of people found lots of things, but as I say, I've never been lucky enough to find anything.
The most interesting discovery in recent years was the Sweet Track, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, that was when the land was flooded, and they cut all the bushes and tied them together, and they laid them all down to make a walkway to walk from one place to another.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Apparently it's the oldest known one in the world.
Yeah. And it's got to be kept wet, because if it does,
yes,
it dries out, it's no
it
good.
disappears.
Falls apart. Yeah.
Well, in the British Museum, you can go in there and you can see a man called Ginger.
Yeah.
He was accidentally discovered on a peat moor in Suffolk, I believe it was.
Yeah, he was.
Perfectly preserved.
Yeah.
But the peat turned his hair ginger. He may not have had ginger hair. So they nicknamed him Ginger, and I've seen him several times.
Yeah.
It's amazing, amazing.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's lots of things been found, and peat do preserve anything.
Yeah.
Especially if it's metal.
Metal?
Yeah. Well, like coins or anything, they
Oh, I
preserve
see,
them.
yeah.
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 We call them mumps. We would actually dig 3,000 of these a day.
3,000 a day?
3,000 a day.
Goodness me.
And when they were split into turf, that would be 9,000 turf a day.
Gosh, you must have slept well at night when you got home in bed.
And you didn't get fat either.
And before you came down here though, you had to go on the farm and do your milking, didn't you?
Do the milking in the morning at 6 o'clock.
Gosh.
And then go on for milking at 3:45 in the afternoon. In my dad's time, this is going back something like about 40 years ago, he used to let people come up here from Burnham and from Mere in Westay to dig peat for their fuel, for their houses and that. And they used to sell it, but he used to sell it by the hole, so much a hole, and dig 4 months deep. And then after that it was dug by machine, and excavators for rotavating peat, and as it was built out and finished, and then it was restored to banks all round with a depth of about 8 foot in the middle and 2 or 3 islands in the middle.
Yes, it's gorgeous, it's lovely actually.
Yeah. In the winter you get a hell of a lot of wading birds here, literally hundreds.
It's a lovely environment to just come down and walk around.
Yeah. Because very secluded and
very.
And yeah, it's very nice.
You must be quite proud of it, Jim.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
at
quite
the
an
end product, I mean, it takes a long time to mature like this, but it has done very well.
Now, may I introduce you to Miss Katie Marsh, the daughter of Miss Jim Marsh, who's the owner of the business. Locally educated. Katie, you went into banking for a long time, 14, 15 years, but you got out of banking and you now set up your own business. Just
Correct.
outside of Sharpham, or it's actually in Sharpham, isn't it, on the edge of Sharpham?
Correct, yes. I was working for HBOS for 11 years. I took an enhanced redundancy package a couple of years ago now. I've been focusing my attention here locally. I help to run the business here at Marsh's Peat Products and oversee the administration. I also acquired a site just up the road, which we'll take a look at in a moment. And we have successfully converted the use from previous peat manufacturing to general B2 industrial. So we now have a small empire of successful businesses, a really good business community up and running. All of the stages of planning have been completed, so we have HGV parking, we have car body repair workshops, we have storage and a number of mixed uses, which is working very successfully. The main reason for the decline of the peat site just up the road was really to do with price, and the grants that were becoming available to Ireland made it very difficult to compete in what I can describe as a price war with supplying chain companies such as B&Q. So the site just gradually became redundant, and we've now found a more effective use. And like I say, it's a good operation with a good mix of business, so we can have a look around those units for sure.
Okay. Did you actually live on the moors when you was being brought up?
Yes, I did. I just lived next door to this factory.
And what was it like? Did you feel isolated? Because
No, it was great fun. I really liked it here. Yeah.
And you had ponies and horses those days?
Yeah, we
or?
had ponies here and we entered competitions.
Right.
We helped with haymaking and all of those traditional tasks during the summer. It's a good place to live.
And in the winter, terribly, bitterly cold.
I do
down
remember
here.
having specific winters which were very cold. We suffered from a lot of snow, and that did result in us being isolated and, if you like, stranded here.
A good excuse to miss school.
Very good excuse to miss school, yeah. So from this factory now, we're still really busy with the peat.
Yes.
And we supply customers throughout the UK. We have a number of customers in Newcastle. We supply a lot to London. The good thing about this business is we have a very long-standing customer base. In fact, going back a couple of years, one of our customers was probably responsible for 50% of the output here.
50%?
50%, yeah, a very big account for us. Everything here is still run by my dad, and I take care of the invoicing, which is still done by hand. We're not computerised, so although we have the robot running, we operate on very small numbers.
Yeah.
Which makes the business
It's amazing
very successful.
technology you have here. We're still down at Sharpham. We're now on the site of the former Peat works, which Jim Marsh decided to hand over to his daughter Katie, who's had these units built for small start-up businesses. So let's go and take a look, Katie. Would you like...
Yeah, sure. So I acquired this site in 2007. It was a former peat works operating under the name of Green Meadow. I rebranded this site to Siren Industrial Limited, and I undertook all of the relevant tasks to gain planning permission for B2 general industrial use, which means that we have a really wide mix of businesses operating here. We also have storage, HGV parking and coach parking. I'll show you around the units in a moment.
Okay.
We have here Unit 1, which was the original unit used for the peat manufacturing. It's a building of around 4,500 square feet. All of the plant machinery has now been removed and we sold this. This unit just recently became vacant and it will be marketed again in September. Just currently having the electrics updated. So this
Wow,
is,
it's a lovely size.
yeah, it's a single-skinned cladded building with an office here. We have full facilities of water, three-phase electricity. We've just recently installed a new transformer of 315 kVA, which is a massive power supply, which will be great for future provisions here. So this will be coming onto the market for rent again in September. Just
You can see all that new electric wire in there,
yeah,
can't you?
electric wiring's going on. We've also had the old manual roller shutter door replaced with a new electrical system, which makes
Brilliant.
it very convenient. And I'll show you in a moment the newer units that I've had constructed, which are actually double cladded and fully insulated, so they are a lot more modern than this original building here.
You've got some very bright ideas, Katie, business-wise, haven't you?
Yes, we've tried to really open up the market as far as possible as to what can actually be done at this site. It's quite unusual to have industrial operating in the open countryside.
Yeah.
We gave that planning permission through a CLUID, Certificate of Lawful Use, which was granted by Mendip District Council, which actually opened up the options for what people can do here, because as you've said yourself, John, with peat, it's very unlikely that new individuals will be coming into that industry. So rather than have buildings empty and land vacant, it's always good to open up more space for people to come and do their business.
Katie, you've got sisters who are in business too, haven't you?
Yes,
but nothing to do with.
I have a younger sister, Lucy, who works in insurance, and I have an elder sister, Lisa, who works in the beauty industry as an account manager and also has a shop in Street and a shop in Wales.
Very enterprising family, I must say.
So here we have further of the new units. These units have been constructed to compromise 850 square feet. They're fully insulated with double cladding, which keeps them actually very warm in the winter and very cool in the summer. So
you need it down here on the levels.
You need it down here. We've suffered quite a lot from the winds, the crosswinds coming across. So the doors again are fully electrically operated.
In total, Katie, how many units have you got?
We have 8 units here, plus we have outdoor storage and we have HGV and coach parking. Yeah.
Okay, we'll take a look at where the coaches are parked.
Yeah, we'll have a look. And these units all have the facility for toilets, wash basins with full drainage going to a septic tank and 3-phase electricity.
Must keep you very busy.
Very busy. And they're all covered by CCTV as well.
Right,
Really
why?
Yeah. So I just recently had installed this new palisade fencing for security and boundaries for outdoor storage. I have a local company here, Aston Coaches, who moved in recently, who park a number of the coaches in their fleet. Aston Coaches do school runs. They also take people off on day trips, not only across the UK, but also out to Europe as well. So it's been family established for a number of years, very successful business, and really pleased that we were able to offer a suitable location for the fleet of coaches. We also have another business who recently just moved in at the top here, who do groundworks, and again they store all of their equipment and machinery here. It's ideal as we are allowed 24-hour access at this site, so lorries and goods vehicles can actually come in any time without restriction and without obstruction. We have a vast open space here which makes parking ideal, and it's also a very clear road for access coming into and out of the site, so it's very safe.
It's wonderful to see new businesses coming into the local area.
Absolutely, especially in Mendip, because we found over recent years so many businesses relocating to Sedgemoor because we're running out of space. We have the new Moorlands project, but it's not within everybody's budget. You know, some of those buildings were very expensive and the rentals on them are high, and because I own this site solely here, I'm able to negotiate at a reasonable level with prospective tenants.